Single dad let a stranger in during the storm, not knowing she was a CEO falling for him. The rain hammered against the windows like 1,000 angry fists, each drop a reminder that some nights test us in ways we never expect. Marcus Chen stood at his kitchen sink, watching the storm transform his quiet suburban street into a river, and he thought about how quickly everything could change. Just 3 years ago, he'd had a wife, a full night's sleep, and dreams that extended beyond making it through another day. Now he had a 6-year-old daughter sleeping upstairs, a mortgage he could barely afford, and a heart that had learned to find joy in the smallest moments, like the way Emma laughed when he made pancakes in funny shapes, or how she tucked her tiny hand in his when they crossed the street. He'd become an expert at measuring wealth differently, at understanding that sometimes the richest thing you can offer the world is simply showing up, even when you're exhausted. Tonight, as the power flickered and the wind howled, he had no idea that opening his door to a stranger would remind him that kindness isn't just something we give, it's something that can transform us in return. The doorbell rang at exactly 9:47 p.m., right when Marcus had finally gotten Emma settled after her third request for water and second nightmare about monsters under the bed. He froze, tea kettle in hand, because nobody rang doorbells during storms like this. Nobody sane, anyway. Through the peephole, he saw a woman drenched to the bone, her designer clothes plastered against her frame, mascara running down her cheeks in dark rivulets. Her car, a sleek Mercedes that looked absurdly out of place on his modest street, sat at an angle near the curb, steam rising from under its hood. Every instinct told him to be careful. Single dad, young daughter asleep upstairs, stranger at the door in the middle of a storm. But there was something about the way she stood there, shivering and vulnerable, that reminded him of the night Emma was born, how the nurse had looked at him with such compassion when he'd been alone in that waiting room, how one person's kindness had made all the difference. He opened the door. "I'm so sorry," she said immediately, her voice shaking from cold and what might have been tears. "My car died, my phone is dead, and I've knocked on 4 doors. You're the first person to answer." Marcus stepped back. "Come in. You'll catch pneumonia out there." The woman hesitated, as if she couldn't quite believe someone had actually helped. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. Come on." She stepped into his small foyer, and Marcus grabbed a towel from the hall closet, one of Emma's with little butterflies on it, but it would have to do. "I'm Marcus. Let me get you something dry to wear." "Sophia," she managed through chattering teeth. "Thank you. You have no idea. Don't worry about it. Just warm up." 20 minutes later, Sophia sat at Marcus's kitchen table wearing his old college sweatshirt and sweatpants, her hands wrapped around a mug of hot tea. Her wet clothes tumbled in the dryer, and she'd scrubbed the makeup from her face, revealing features that were somehow both striking and exhausted. "I feel like I stepped into another dimension," she said, looking around the kitchen with its crayon drawings stuck to the fridge with magnets, the plastic dinosaurs lined up on the windowsill, the breakfast dishes still in the sink. "A nicer one." Marcus smiled as he joined her with his own mug. "That's one way to describe my life. Chaotic but functional. You have a child, Emma. She's 6. Asleep upstairs, hopefully still asleep despite the thunder." He paused. "It's just the 2 of us." Sophia nodded slowly, and something flickered across her face, understanding, maybe, or recognition of a specific kind of loneliness. "That must be hard. Some days are harder than others. But she's the best thing that ever happened to me." He said it simply, the way you state fundamental truths. "What about you? What brings you to our neighborhood in the middle of a storm?" She laughed, but it came out bitter. "I was running away, I think. From a dinner party where everyone kept talking about quarterly reports and market shares. I just started driving, needed to clear my head, and then the storm hit and here I am." She looked at him. "I'm CEO of a tech company. Morningstar Solutions. Maybe you've heard of it." Marcus had. It was one of those companies always in the news, valued at billions. He tried not to let his surprise show. "That's impressive. Is it?" Sophia stared into her tea. "Tonight, sitting in that restaurant listening to people congratulate me on our latest acquisition, all I could think was how empty it all felt. How I couldn't remember the last time someone looked at me like I was a person instead of a title." She glanced up, embarrassed. "Sorry. You don't need to hear this. It's okay. Sometimes it's easier to talk to strangers." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, listening to the storm rage outside. Then a small voice came from the doorway. Daddy. Emma stood there in her unicorn pajamas, clutching her stuffed rabbit, eyes wide at the sight of a stranger in their kitchen. Marcus was on his feet immediately. Hey, sweetheart. Did the thunder wake you? Emma nodded, but she was staring at Sophia with the unfiltered curiosity only children possess. Who's that? This is Sophia. Her car broke down in the storm, so she's staying here where it's safe and warm. Sophia, this is Emma. Sophia smiled, and Marcus noticed how it transformed her face, made her look younger, more genuine. Hi, Emma. I love your pajamas. They have unicorns, Emma said seriously. Unicorns are very important. I completely agree. Emma patted over to the table. Are you scared of the thunder? A little bit, Sophia admitted. Are you? Sometimes. But Daddy says thunder is just the sky being loud, and it can't hurt us inside. Your daddy sounds very smart. Emma climbed into Marcus's lap. He makes the best pancakes. Are you staying for breakfast? Marcus felt his cheeks warm. Emma, Sophia probably has too. I'd love to, Sophia interrupted softly. If that's okay. Emma beamed. Daddy makes them in shapes. I like butterflies best. For the next hour, the three of them sat in the kitchen while the storm slowly passed. Emma, who was usually shy around strangers, chattered away about her kindergarten class, her best friend Mia, and the elaborate fairy garden she was building in the backyard. Sophia listened with genuine interest, asking questions and laughing at Emma's stories in a way that felt natural, unforced. Marcus watched this woman, this CEO who ran a billion-dollar company, sitting cross-legged in his old sweatpants, completely captivated by his daughter's description of how to properly feed imaginary fairies. There was something achingly vulnerable about the way Sophia leaned in, as if Emma's innocence and joy were things she'd forgotten existed. When Emma finally fell asleep again, curled up against Marcus's chest, Sophia helped him carry her upstairs. She waited in the hallway while he tucked Emma into bed, and when he emerged, he found Sophia studying the photos on the wall. Marcus and Emma at the beach, Emma's first day of kindergarten, birthday parties and ordinary moments frozen in time. You've built something beautiful here, Sophia whispered. A real home. It's not much. It's everything. Her voice cracked slightly. I have a penthouse. Downtown with a view of the entire city. Custom furniture, original artwork, a closet bigger than this hallway. And it's the loneliest place I've ever been. They went back downstairs. The storm had become a gentle rain, and through the window, they could see the first hints of clearing sky. Can I tell you something? Sophia asked, standing by the window. When I knocked on your door tonight, I was ready to give up. Not just on getting help, on everything. I'd spent the whole drive thinking about how I'd built this empire but lost myself in the process. How I couldn't remember the last time I had a genuine conversation or felt truly seen by another person. She turned to face him. And then you opened your door. You didn't ask who I was or what I could offer you. You just saw someone who needed help, and you helped. Marcus shrugged, uncomfortable with the intensity of her gratitude. That's just basic human decency. You'd be surprised how rare that is. She moved closer. In my world, every interaction has an angle. People want something, a deal, a connection, a favor. But you gave me shelter, warmth, and let me sit at your table without expecting anything in return. Your daughter shared her father's lap in her stories like they were the most valuable things in the world. Sophia's eyes were bright. You reminded me what matters. Sophia, I'm not good at this, she interrupted. At being real. At letting people in. I've spent so long building walls that I forgot there were doors. She took a breath. But sitting in your kitchen tonight, watching you with Emma, seeing how much love exists in these small, ordinary moments, I remembered who I wanted to be before I became who I thought I should be. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. I think you're being too hard on yourself. Maybe. But I also think I've been too hard on everyone, including myself, for too long. She smiled sadly. I need to make some changes. Starting with remembering that success isn't just about building something big, it's about building something meaningful. The rain had stopped completely now. In the silence, they could hear the drip of water from the gutters, the distant sound of cars on wet pavement. Your clothes should be dry, Marcus said finally. Sophia nodded but didn't move. Marcus, thank you. For seeing me tonight, not the CEO, not the persona, just me. You're welcome here anytime. Both versions of you. She laughed. That might be the nicest thing anyone's said to me in years. After Sophia changed and prepared to leave, she stood in the doorway, hesitant. I know this is probably crazy, but could I give you my number? Not for anything, I'd like to take Emma to see the fairy garden when it's finished. And maybe have breakfast. I'm genuinely curious about these famous pancakes. Marcus found himself smiling. I think Emma would love that. As Sophia drove away in her towed and repaired Mercedes, Marcus stood on his porch and watched the clouds clear to reveal stars. He thought about the unexpected ways people enter our lives, about how kindness is never wasted even when it seems small, about how sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer someone is simply a warm place to sit and be human. 3 months later, Marcus would learn that Sophia had restructured her entire company around work-life balance and employee well-being. 6 months later, she'd become a regular fixture in their lives, teaching Emma about technology and business while learning about fairy gardens and the importance of butterfly-shaped pancakes. A year later, standing in that same kitchen where they'd first shared tea during a storm, Sophia would tell Marcus she was falling in love with him, with Emma, with the life they'd built from kindness and genuine connection. But that night, Marcus simply went back inside his small house, checked on his sleeping daughter, and felt grateful for the reminder that opening your door to a stranger isn't just an act of charity, it's an act of faith in humanity's essential goodness, in the possibility that we all need help sometimes, and that sometimes helping others helps us find ourselves again.